Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make or enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet, the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs. He lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because only Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and only Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all. They may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are impartial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and the Constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of all of the said government, and know that they're not Negroes, color folks, black people, Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must claim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwest and the southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings, become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious, become a part of the uplifting of all humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts, minds pure in love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to the guidance of his Father, God Allah. Islam. I will now have a reading from the Great Meaning Zone. Quran questions for Moorish Americans. And additional laws by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali.
Looking at the sand. You do something. You take it off.
Islam. Act 1. Grand Sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. These said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acted upon by any members, let it be financed property or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheik. Act 2. All members are to attend their adapt meetings and their public meetings prompt. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on the emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance and to aid me in saving the nation. If he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, color folks, black people, Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwest and the southwest shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious, become a part of the uplifting of all the humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and mind pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to the guidance of the Father, God Allah. Islam. Right along. We'll now have a reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Found on page 36. Holy instruction of unity. The gifts of the understandings are the treasures of Allah, and he appointed to everyone his portion, and what measure seemeth good unto himself. He have endowed thee with wisdom. Have he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for thy own improvement. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinences, and to pity their absurdity. Yet be not puffed up in thy own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man filleth his imperfections, and is humble. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shallow stream of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. He boasteth of attainments in things that are of no worth, but where is the shame to be ignorant? There he have no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom he toileth after folly, and shame and disappointment are the reward of his labor. But the wise man cultivate his mind with knowledge. The improvement of the arts is his delight, and their utility to the public crowneth with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. Islam. You know, these lessons, so often as we go throughout the book over and over, thus making it a part of every part in your life daily. You see the relevancy that's becoming more pertinent day by day with the pages revealing itself to you. I mean, none of us can ignore the fact of the presidency and the election that just transpired. I mean, this was historical. This was historical. And it was just some things of the pages that just jumped out at me. For instance, the wise man filleth his imperfections and is humble. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shallow stream of his mind, and is pleased with the pebbles with which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. You know, we have a, well, he ain't the president. He's not the president no more. So
he's still
he's not the president no more. The president-elect, he's fighting to stay as the president, is what he is. He's after the election,
January 20th.
After the election, listen, Mo, I'm not talking about the inauguration. After the election is over, the people have nominated this man to be the president. Now, the fundamental stages that they must go through for the transition to take place is something different. He is the president of the United States of America.
There's no question.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Okay, so the person that's still trying to hold on, Donald Trump, to the presidency, have so often showed us that he digged into his own mind and pulled up the little pebbles that he had as boast of it to the world as if he had something great and marvelous and spectacular. To him, he did.
Praise God.
And to no avail with others trying to show him of wisdom that what he was doing is of a childish nature. His friends, see, his friends, those who go to protest and march to try to keep a man who's been voted out nationwide in office. His friends who wanted to go to the polls with weapons and other forms of bullying to try to distort or get others to change their vote or not to show up. But see, one thing for certain and two for sure, when the law leads, victory is sure. We don't know at no time when the law is leading. As long as we submit our will to do the will and stay in the course, we know for sure at the end victory is sure. And that's when we know the law is leading. See, at times we might think what shouldn't be led to victory has been led to victory. Why? Because law is the best of planners.
Praise God. He's the best of planners.
He's the best of planners. So what you might not think should be, he felt should be for a particular higher divine cause.
Praise God.
He boasts of attainments in things that are of no worth. How can you have most superior minds around you and you firing them because they don't want to adhere to the little pebbles that you tossing up in the air, you juggling around? We got a pandemic going on. You took the pandemic so lightly and caused so many millions of lives to be lost and affected because you didn't take this as serious as it should have been taken, and listening to the wise men who are around you counseling you. But where there is a shame, it is a shame to be ignorant. There he has no understanding. The things he used to state to justify his position as the moral, virtual leader of a united nation, a world figure, he seen no shame at all in. He thought he was saying some things of wisdom. You know, to hear so many reputable people make fun of this guy as our president was a mockery.
Yes.
It was a circus. It was a sideshow. They even said, you know, how could a feeble-minded person say something like this? That's why they're feeble-minded. And they throw their little comments in so slick and smooth, where you got to be actually listening to say, did they really just say that? Just like you got to be listening to say, did he really just say that?
Praise God. You got to be listening.
But I hope this taught all of us a lesson, because we're falling short of the glory of picking a proper person with moral aptitude to lead. To lead. Our leadership ruler, if you will, has broken. that we now, I mean, it started on taking actors and making them presidents who have really not no schooling of learning of that particular field. They chose to go some other route. Now we taking pedophiles and making them president. This man was a womanizer. He admitted, they even showed how disrespectful to women he was. The violations he committed. Mo, if that was one of our Asiatic leaders, yeah, I'm speaking up for every one of y'all that did something wrong, even myself. Man, they would have snatched the robe off of him and made him a public mockery and had to confess publicly. Look what they did to Bill Cosby.
Look what they did to Michael Jackson.
Look what they did to Michael. Oh, Mike.
Tore him up.
Mm-mm-mm.
We can show that right now. Look what they did to Jack Johnson.
They love to
Right
give
out
us,
of Maryland.
but they love to give us a deceased leader.
Yes.
They strip him down to his bare essence and then give him to us.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is your leader.
This is your leader.
This is what we think of your leader.
I agree with you, Tim.
Mo, I tell you. But the gifts of understanding, the gifts.
The gifts.
There's a lot of gifts in that. You was a gift to me.
Praise God.
And as a gift, I'm ready to have you come before the people and unveil it. Take the ribbon off. Take the box off, and what pops out? Ta-da! Our grand sheet here on this location and Divine Minister Brother R. COOLEY-EL. Slum.
Islamism. It's always a pleasure and an honor to stand before the Moors anytime. We know right now we're in a pandemic. And there's a limit to where we should be, but Allah gave us the means. That's what He's talking about, the gifts of understanding. Allah gave us a means to bring these divine lessons to you anyway through virtual admonition. So I like to give praise to Allah. I like to give honors to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these modern days and times. I like to give honors to all divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. I like to give honors to all the forerunners of the prophets. John the Baptist was to Jesus, Marcus Garvey to Noble Drew Ali. I like to give honors to Brother Cooley-El, who is the true successor of the prophet Noble Drew Ali and his divine movement of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Islam.
So I give him honors. I give honors to everything and everyone that's due honors, because we are taught to withhold honors as both mean and unjust. And we're truly trying to come above being mean and unjust, because when you think malice, you act malice. So I like to give honors even to those spirits that are struggling, because we know a struggling soul will find his rock. So I give them honors. Islam. As always, it's a pleasure to stand before the Moors and just give my portion of the understanding. Because as the chairman said earlier before me, the understanding is a gift. And it is a treasure given to us by our great God Allah, or by God, by any name you may call Him. The understanding is a gift given by Him.
That's right, Mom.
So, has He endowed thee with wisdom? That is a question that's rhetorical. Has He endowed thee with wisdom? You have to ask yourself, my brothers, my sisters, wayfarer seekers after truth. Have He give you the understanding of wisdom? Or have He endowed thee with wisdom? Because we know that the understanding, He gives you the portion which seemeth good unto Him. Allah we are talking about. And if he's endowed thee with wisdom, and he has enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth, he tells you to communicate it to the ignorant for their instructions and communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. So you, even if he's endowed you with wisdom, you have a job to do with that wisdom. And what is your job? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for their improvement. See, even the wise can be improved.
That's right, Mo.
For their own improvement. So we can improve ourselves with this gift of the understanding.
That's right.
And especially if we recognize he has endowed thee with wisdom. And we know that wisdom only comes when we what? Have the fact. We have experienced a thing. So that's what makes it wisdom, because you know that it works. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. The wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knows of all things but his own ignorance. Let's make this relevant to our present day situation. We as a people, we stood up this time because we know that many had died and fought who had seen through the wisdom of Allah that with the vote, we can be able to change conditions. We can be able to change conditions. We hope that our vote that was given overwhelmingly to the incumbent or the president, Joe Biden, will be afforded some relief. See, because we know that systemic racism still exists.
That's right, Mo.
It still exists. And the thing is, even with you voting, we have to learn, or we have to go with the gift of understanding to find out that there's no such thing as a Negro, colored, black, or Ethiopian. They know who you are, but you refuse to accept the fact and ask Allah to point the way that you'll find out that there's no Negro, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians attached to the human family. We're talking about Asiatics and Muslims. Even in these times when they spray water, beat us, even today they shooting and killing us in these trying times now. The Quran says the pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence and to pity their absurdity. Now, when we talk about Mr. Trump, because he's no longer the president, he shouldn't even be called Mr. President. Because through his understanding is all about him. He has forgotten that it is the people, the republic that he represents. He has no respect for anything that doesn't bow down to him. So through our wisdom, we see the folly of his actions. And I agree with the president-elect, give him not the attention. Because the more attention you give him, the more foolishly he acts. He plays the fool by half. But yet, even in that, he has a fear. He knows that Allah is watching. He knows that he has things he has to answer for. But as long as he's in the most powerful seat in the world, they can't touch him. So he's afraid to leave it. but he got to go. But we can't forget in our understanding that there's still much work to be done, even though we had a black president and the prophet said if they would be fair, they would have an Asiatic president, they would have a European vice president. We've seen that. So we know that Drew Ali, the noble one, is truly a prophet because we see his revelations coming to pass.
That's right, Mo.
He said if there be a European president, there should be an Asiatic vice president. Praise Allah, a prophet again. His prophecy shown again. Because the prophet told us
something went wrong.
if we stand the ground and recognize who we are, he's going to make them tell the truth and be about the truth. And we see the revelations coming through. But we have to open up our minds. We have to open up our hearts. We have to raise our thoughts to infinite wisdom to see omnipotence displayed before thee. Yet be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. For the clearness of human knowledge, but the blindness of foolishness and folly. Foolishness and folly, the blindness of knowing that you have lost the race. You have politically lost the race. The people have spoken, and 306 electorals have spoken, and you still refuse to humble yourself and be the man that you say you are. Once again, we see what the foolishness of folly can do. And I want to say this, brothers and sisters, see what power can do? Power is an illusion, nothing more. And the only way you continue to observe and be able to utilize that power is that you recognize the force from which it comes. So we have to give God the glory, not man. We have to give God the glory because Allah, as we know him, he's the best planner. This ain't by accidental chance. This is not by accidental chance. Allah points the way, and it went the way it was supposed to go. Change of not the words of Allah, for he speaks to man through man. And that's why we as a people went out and vote. That's why through his understanding, and I'm talking about President-elect Biden right now, he said, I'm going to give it to you the way he said it. Y'all had my back, I got your back. But Moors, wayfarers, seekers after the truth, we must hold him to that.
That's right.
Don't go to sleep and forget what he said. He said we had his back, he got our back. So we have to make sure from a political perspective that all of ours is recognized. We ain't talking about his cabinet. We talk about him doing what he said he's going to do. Because sometimes man can make his words in the semblance of truth, while the business of his life is only to deceive. So we have to keep an eye on it. We have to keep an eye on it. Because these are the times now for us to change conditions. Because the prophet says the ethers change, conditions change. And we are able to make the ethers change. So we are able to what? Change conditions if we raise our thoughts to infinite wisdom.
Islam.
Verse 7. He boasteth of attainments of things that are of no worth. But where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he has no understanding. And we are not only talking about Trump, we talking about any man or woman that do not understand themselves or know themselves. That's ignorance. And won't take time out to find out the truth about who you really are. Aren't you tired of being governed by someone else? Read your Bible. It tell you how the Pharisees did with Rome. And you know, signs and symbols are for the conscious mind. The Roman signs and symbols are still going on. We're still playing that Pharisees game. When will we ever begin to be the first? Because once again, I direct you to your Bible, say, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Aren't we tired of being last? But praise Allah, I always tell them, praise Allah, Allah sent us a prophet who taught us how to be first, who taught us who we were, and who taught us the importance of nationality. Because through nationality, you can no longer be misused and abused. But if you don't have a nationality, they can misuse and abuse you. With a nationality, you're not a second-class citizen. You're only able to vote because people died and rallied for you to vote. And some of you don't even want to use it, talking about what difference does it make. The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah. It makes a lot of difference if we'll begin to play in the politics. See, the prophet not only brought us our religious creed, he informed us how to become nationally understood and known. He said we are Moorish Americans. And even here, I'm standing between two great standards. The Moorish standard, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center, which represents love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The American standard, the stripes and the stars, which the prophets say protected us in our infancy. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we give it honor for the little that it did do. Islam. You know, that's what the prophet is teaching us. He said we are not to speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group. But telling the truth ain't radical. That's right. Telling the truth is not radical, because I believe, and when I listen to the prophet, I know. He said we ought to tell the truth regardless of what it takes. That's when the gifts of understanding come in. Even in the path of wisdom, he toileth after folly. And shame and disappointment are the rewards of his labor. He's talking about the one who don't have understanding. He's talking about the one of lack of understanding he's always in the folly. Because he don't give himself a time to think. He don't solidate himself to meditate, to look at the wonders of his life. See, because we have to give it to Allah or God if we don't give it to nobody, because he is the one that we owe it to. We've been bound down to man for so long that we forget that man giveth, man taketh away, but what Allah give us, it sustains us. That's why we're dealing with the unity. Now you notice this lesson is called the Holy Instructions of Unity. Now when he speak of unity, he talking about the oneness. If we understood one another better, we would have a better union amongst ourselves. We would be better unity amongst us. But what we do, we hate, cuss, and fuss, and kill one another. And that's by design. That is by design. I can't think of the name of it, but they had a plane. You ever heard of that plane, Mo? Well, I got to go back, but anyway. What about it? It's a plan where they was planning how to destroy us at all times. King Alfred plan. King Alfred plan. Praise Allah for my chairman. Moors, don't forget these things. Because these things are prevalent in these days and times. We must remember, we have the power if we understand the force. If we go to Allah, we will receive the blessings. If we don't go to Allah, we won't receive the blessing. No, We take a step at a time. We're marching on. We're marching into the new era of time. This is a new era of time now. And all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live. If your free national name and you don't accept it, that means you didn't accept the gift of the understanding that Allah gave you through sending the holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. Everybody has used Drew Ali's standard. Everybody. Because they know he was the true prophet. But once again, man wants to direct the course. But when we look up, man is always misstepping. This is why we have a total disrespect for their own standards. But we, the Moors here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, all we're trying to do is raise our brothers and sisters from the point of Negro, colored, and black, letting them know that they have a nationality.
That's right.
And once you have a nationality, you will not be misused and abused. But first, you have to accept that gift of the understanding, because all we give comes from the Holy Prophet through the will of Allah. From some of the great fathers through which we came. Verse 8. Even in the path of wisdom, he totally after following shame and disappointment are his rewards. We don't only talk about, we talk about us as a people. If we don't start to stand up and be the message we bring and be about the truth and not, if we don't tell the truth, simple as that. We have to tell the truth. We have to know who we are. We got to stop calling ourselves Negro, coloreds, and blacks. Yeah, it's a great day, but is it truly a great day for the Negro, colored, and black? I say it's a great day for the Moors because the Moors know they're able to see. If they go in an intelligent tone, they're going to receive a favorable reply, because remember, he said, I got you.
That's right.
But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvement of the arts are his delight, and their utility to the public crowned with honor. That's what we do here. We come to you every Friday and Sunday to raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom, to let you know that you are someone. Let you know that you're not Negro, colored folks, and black people. We let you know that through the understanding and the study of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we know who we are. Verse 10. Nevertheless, the attainments of virtue he accounted as his highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. How can one be happy not having or knowing who they are? How can one be happy when he always depended on someone and someone else? Brothers and sisters, the prophet saying the Moors, let's go to an up-to-date library and check it out.
That's what he said.
Check yourself out. They know who you are, but they want to keep you from the truth, which is an understanding, and they want to keep your eyes closed. When I say your eyes, I ain't talking about these eyes of flesh. I'm talking about that eye of wisdom, that third eye. You have to massage it to open it. You have to need to open it. Because guess what? Out from the Sunday schools come the guiders of the nation. So in order to be a guider of a nation, you have to apply yourself socially, economically, politically, as well as educationally, and not last nor least, religiously. So with that, I like to say, today is Friday, it's a holy day. And as we raise our thoughts to infinite wisdom, we try to stretch out our hand to our brother man, because it is a miracle. And this miracle was given to us to aid and assist our brother man. So I like to say, I hope that I've said something to give you something to think about. I hope that you understand that this is serious business, and the Noble Drew Ali Foundation is in the business of saving souls. So with that, and without further ado, I have a reading from the proclamation. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read the proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while they work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans that causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these laws will be of severe consequences. We are for love, true peace, and freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card button, cease playing their turban affairs, and return to the state where the prophet found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sin. By order of the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam.
Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth, peace,
peace,
freedom,
and
justice.
justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
and
my salvation, by night
by
and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen.
Islam.
Islam.
Right.